Hey guys, check out Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp, a fully updated second edition, reviewed and revised by an expert panel of certified Italian wine ambassadors from across the globe. The book also includes an edition by Professore Attilio Scienza, Italy's leading vine geneticist. To pick up a copy today, just head to Amazon.com or visit us at mamajumboshrimp.com. Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hello, everybody. My name is Laika. I am stepping in for Stevie. Right now, she has just arrived from a trip for our Mama Jumbo Shrimp, and then she's actually busy right now with some errands and some workload to do right now. So I'm stepping in for her. So today we have our episode with John Camacho Vidal. So this is the second Clubhouse after Oscar Arrivabene, right?
Correct.
Oh, right. So yeah, it's the second episode for Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. He's been a really good moderator for us. So I invited him again for to do another episode. So. For tonight, he will be interviewing Simone Scaletta. So before I begin, let me start introducing John by reading his biography. So let me read this part. After moving on he's actually from financial services industry, and then John began working as a portfolio manager for the Italian wine merchants in New York, where he honed his passion for wine. He worked for more than 10 years at IWM, so this is Italian Wine Merchants, and he became the senior portfolio manager, showroom manager, seminar director, and lecturer, making him well-informed educator of Italian wine. John believes in sharing not just the experience of tasting wine, but also the stories behind it. In fact, actually, I remember that your Instagram handle is Wine Stories NY, right? John, hello? Tell us about...
Yes, that is correct. It's Wine Stories NY, which is Wine Stories New York.
Okay, so tell us about what you post on your Instagram, Wine Stories NY.
Well, I actually try to post as much content as possible, whether it's images. I've gotten into making these small little videos. Many videos turn into one, but I try to show and the story that goes behind the wine, because every wine has a story and every story has a wine to go with it.
Oh, right. That's really, really interesting and fascinating at the same time. So I guess you're also an Orvieto ambassador. Tell us more about that.
Yes, Orvieto, along with a group of friends, we all went to Orvieto. We were invited, and it was one of the most amazing experiences because we were able to delve into not only all things Orvieto, but specifically the wines, of course. And as an ambassador of Orvieto, as an Italian wine ambassador, my objective is to turn everybody from a wine drinker into an Italian wine drinker. And then as an Orvieto ambassador, to guide them and let them know about this little region that has just gotten forgotten.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Actually, I was just editing an interview with Riccardo Cottarella, and then he was talking about finding regions that are, worth speaking about. So that's really great. I mean, that's really, I think we have to focus on these regions that, we actually never looked into, So yeah, I guess Orvieto it's actually one of them, and it's actually becoming more interesting in the wine community. And then
Correct.
you also have a special collaboration with Wine Link Italy. So tell us something more about this.
So a very good friend of mine, Barbara Diagabiti, she runs a tour operator called WineLink Italy. She's also very, very much involved with the slow wine movement. She's one of the writers or journalists for Slow Wine, along with Federica Randazzo. And I'm fortunate that they allow me to write along with them whenever they taste wine, whenever they go on their tours, interviewing different producers, specifically in the area of Emilia Romagna. By the way, I hope that everybody has their friends and families from Emilia are safe with all the flooding that's going on. But it is a beautiful region full of beautiful wines. I'm a big Lambrusco fan, and we're actually trying to put together an Emilia Surly event here in New York and Miami. So I'm really excited about that. And Wine Linkivity with Barbara, she is one of those individuals that allows me to explore all the regions in Italy, and she kind of guides me. She does all the grunt work and eliminates the non-worthy, not to waste your time and only takes those really great producers, so to speak.
That's a good partnership. Yes, yes, there's something going on right now in Emilia Romagna area, but I guess there's some flooding in Romagna, and I hope everybody's safe at the moment. Yeah, so let's go ahead with our interview. I have to ask you three questions before you go ahead to ask Simone. First, why did you select Simone Scaletta as your favorite producer?
Well, again, being a storyteller or a wine storyteller, Simone has a great story. I've known him for some years now, and I've seen and tasted the evolution of his wines. He makes great wines that are terroir and passion driven. And again, more importantly, there are many stories out there, but when you're able to actually tie that story with the passion and taste the results of that passion in the story, it's just great to me. So I wanted to share that and introduce him.
So, what are the learning objectives that we should expect from this interview?
Well, I guess specifically, let the wine community out there, specifically Barolo lovers, that there's a new kid on the block that's full of passion. He makes spectacular award-winning wines because he has received some awards, and he's right out of Monforte d'Alba, and he's one of those people we could add to that roster, or that list of wines that we like to enjoy and drink.
And how did you discover the wines of Simone Scaletta Vini?
Again, a few years ago, I was doing a tour in Umbria, in Montefalco, as a matter of fact, and I was on my way to north to Piemonte. And when I mentioned to the journalists at Slow Wine that I was on my way, they all said, "You have to go visit Simone Scaletta. He's a new rising star in Monforte d'Alba. He's just putting his things together, and it's a great opportunity to get in on the ground level and see him on the ground level." So I did, and the rest is history. And it's been a lovely journey with him.
That's great. Okay, so I will mute myself, and then the floor is yours now, John.
So, as I was saying, Simone Scaletta is one of the new rising stars amongst the new winemakers in the Langhe, a new generation. His passion for wine and for the Langhe, it speaks for itself. This is the same passion that led him to give up his day job in Turin without and come to an area without any family holdings in Barolo. He set out to build a magnificent cantina in the heart of Monforte d'Alba, an area that had no real estate. He was able to actually obtain vineyards in famous crews that had no real estate available. And as far as his winemaking goes, Simone is one of those individuals that uses cutting edge techniques. Again, in a region known for tradition, he blends those cutting edge techniques with a type of viticulture philosophy that is extra careful about the soil, extra careful about the quality of the area and the biodiversity that he is surrounded by. And I'm very grateful that Simone accepted my invitation to be on the Italian Wine Podcast to share his story with all of us. So thank you very much, Simone. Welcome.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's very good.
Yeah, Simone, I guess what I want to share with everybody is to let them know about you. Again, the new kid on the block, a Barolo boy, a young Barolo boy, I think a baby when it comes to that. I know that you're originally from Turin. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to the Langhe, Monforte d'Alba, and why you chose this path of wine?
I am doctor in political science, and my background is in graphic arts. I used to sell products for printers, and when I started this business, there were 12 big companies and remain only 3. In 2002, I have done a course in enology marketing while I did my previous job. At this time, I have started to decide to change my job path, and when I did a stage for this course, I found my current house on sale in a village newspaper. I spent 2 years and a half to buy this house and land because the owners were 9 cousins and they were bankrupt and usucapion. It was a very difficult purchase, but I have managed to buy. I had to be very determined from the beginning.
Bravo, that's amazing. In a local newspaper ad, that is, wow, unheard of in an area, again, that just has no real estate. And what about analogy? Where did you learn your winemaking? What is your winemaking background? Did you just learn as you went? Are you self-taught, or did you have the opportunity to work alongside other people?
In different way. I have learned enology during a course in Barolo and in Brescia with Professor Scienza. And I have worked for many different producers before 2002 and after when the company was starting up. But I am still learning. Still now is every day you learn something different.
I guess like everything in wine is a never-ending, perpetual journey, and that's what is so wonderful about it. Everything changes on us, and we continue. Cenza, I know. I took the course through Rivia. We're all familiar with Cenza. We all love Cenza. Simone, where are your vineyards located? What are the main differences in the soils and the exposures? What can you tell us about the vineyards? I know you have two main vineyards, but tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, my position in Monforte d'Alba is in the heart of Bricco San Pietro Cru. I have 7 hectares of vineyards and 5 are very close to the cellar. And the vineyards of Barolo are well exposed to the south, over 320 meters altitude. For example, if you compare the technical analysis of the soil from Bricco San Pietro to Bussia, you see that in Bricco San Pietro there is more limestone, while in Bussia there is more clay. So become different wines with different characteristics.
Now, I know that Bricco, San Pietro, and Bussia, those are the 2 largest crus in Monforte, if not the largest ones, correct?
I think are the largest, both.
Okay.
Both.
So,
yeah.
Being that they're very long, so just so we have an idea, are your Bussia vineyard, for example, your vines, are they closer to the Barolo side, or are they? You said they're right in the heart. Just so I get an idea, because they're very large, and I think the listeners will get an idea of more or less where you're located there that way.
I am located close to the cellar, close to the old cellar of Domenico Clerico, and in Bussia I have the vineyards close to Cascina Schlun.
Okay.
On the Giacomo Fenocchio cellar, close to the Giacomo Fenocchio cellar. But in Bussia I rent the vineyards.
Okay, but I understand. Now, as I said, Bussia and Monforte, the 2 largest crus. And I think what is fascinating, you touched a little bit earlier. You said you purchased the vineyards from your cousin. How did that come about? Because we're talking about a region that has no real estate. We're talking about an area that is famous. Everyone wants to own a piece of land there, and there isn't any. So how were you able to get those 5 or 7 hectares that you're working right now?
What I did in 2002 will be impossible now, because the price of the vineyards are very high and there is less space available. And so in the beginning, I have a lot of patience to start to buy these house with the land because there was many problems, and I can buy because the price was low about this reason.
Wow. Wow. And one thing that I think is also very spectacular about your story, I read somewhere, I heard from somebody that you actually slept in a van for many months before your vines were actually ready or your cantina was ready to move in. How do you think this helped you? Do you think it put you closer to nature, closer to understanding your vines?
Unfortunately, aren't months, but years, 8 years. But was a necessity, not a choice. Because with my little money, I invest first in the vineyards, after in the cellar, and at the end in the house. The link with the vineyards is very deep, and now I can stay 1 month without seeing the vineyards and the Monviso that I see very well from here.
So I'm right in assuming that helped you understand more your land, being so close to them and being able to see what was happening. So you're able to have an instinct, so to speak, for your land. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's very important to have a very link with the vineyards and understand what's happened and what is the best to do. You have to follow. You have to be always here. Yeah.
Right. Allora, when I first met you, you were just starting to build a cantina. I think I was one of the first people to stay in your new house, if I'm not mistaken. When you were building your cantina, what was your main focus? What was the most important part for you that you tried to maintain? I know it must have been a very difficult and long journey. It's still a journey, but for you, what was the most important thing when you were creating the cantina?
When I built the cellar, the most important things for me was to build under the soil and not visible from outside. But the part that I prefer is the art of the cellar, where are the big barrels and the tonneau.
Wow. You're using, and what about the space? How large is your cantina right now?
Is about 400 meters, but I put the botti of 3,000 liters, one up the other, so it's very tall. Yeah.
So, is it all by gravity? Did you do it in a way that you could take advantage of the gravity, or are you using any mechanical pumps? Or tell us a little bit about the work in your cantina.
I work with a peristaltic pump that is very delicate with the grapes, and is on the same level, but is very close, and the cantina is divided, one part with the stainless steel where I do the vinification, another part where I have the wood, the tonneau and the big barrel, and another part where I stock the bottles without the label and with the label.
Bravo. And then, I think one thing that's very important for us consumers or wine drinkers is that there is so much diversity. There's so much talent in the Langhe, in Barolo, in Babresco, in the Langhe in general. There's so many styles and different expressions of winemaking, the philosophy, the terroir that each producer has. And I know that you, for example, have been tagged a Barolo boy. I believe you were president of the Barolo boys soccer team, if I'm not mistaken. When people hear Barolo Boys, they automatically think of modern winemaking and French barrique. And for those young guys out there who don't know what a Barolo Boy is, I recommend that you go and Netflix the movie Barolo Boys. It gives you a whole explanation of what that movie was. Simone, what do you consider Simone Scaletta wine and your winemaking philosophy to be?
I was proud to be the president of the Barolo Boys for 8 years. The Barolo Boys is a association of the Barolo producer of Monforte, only Monforte, that are 44 producer, and we organize a tasting with our wines and the wines of our other region that we invited in this year, the 27th of May. And together this, we have the football team. But is very important to tell that the is quite all the producers that participated to this association is for Monforte is very important. And about my philosophy about the wine is that the Nebbiolo is very important grapes. So the wood must help me to respect the quality obtained in the vineyards. And for that reason, I use a big barrel and tonneau 500, 600 liters to have the wine very fresh and clean.
Wow. And by having that aspect of
sorry, Camacho. I think that today is today. There is no reason to compare the traditional winemaking with the modern, because these two worlds now are very closed to one other. The traditional in the last years start to do something in direction to the modernist and vice versa. So there is no so big difference between the two worlds.
Mm. So you're saying that after all these years, they have come to some sort of happy middle ground, so to speak. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, so that they're all intertwined with it.
About all they put in the first thing, the Nebbiolo. The wood is only an help to around, but not to put vanilla taste or oak taste inside the wine. Both the producer, I think, and also in the vineyards. It's difficult to explain this, but the arrival of the modern help to the traditional.
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
To change something in the vineyard to increase the quality. So it's a mixed.
But I think that's very important. I think that's a really very good point that we've reached that level where, modern techniques or modern equipment has actually helped the traditional producer give us a better product. I think that is amazing that they're able to come both ways. Now, I heard you tell me, and I've read what you've written, that you personally, Simone Scaletta, you followed the rhythm of the vines, the rhythm of nature. So since you're talking about your vineyard management, give us an example of your canopy management. Do you feel the wine is created from the earth, or is it created in the cantina? Give us your idea of your philosophy on that.
No, the art of everything is the vineyards, sure. I started this year to the conversion in organic working, but 7 years that I do the cover crops. I plant 12 different essence to fertilize in a natural way the soil. I don't use the pesticide, but I clean where there is the plant with the machine, and I use product that cover the leaves and not go inside the slime of the plant. Another thing that I do was that I have a vineyards where the deers eat the buds, and I put in all perimeter of the vineyards the sheep wool that are antagonist with the deers without using any chemicals to the plant.
Bravo. I'm a big fan of that. What about biodynamic practices or biodynamic treatments like teas or anything like that? Do you use any of those products or only lunar cycles?
Sincerely, I don't understand very well this. Is just enough is if in the vineyard I work with respect of the forest around the vineyards and all what there is in the vineyards. Yeah.
Bravo. So I guess that brings me to the next question I have. As you know, I'm a big fan of slow wine, similar movements, like I mentioned, Emilia Serli, the slow intervention. Is this something that you always wanted to have when you first initially said, I'm going to start growing some vines, start making some Barolo, some make wine in general? Did you always have it in the back of your mind that you were going to use this type of style? Or was this something that evolved as you were in your journey?
Yes, I received the awards for the Barolo Bussia 2018 from Slow Wine. But in 80s, this could be changed the life of the producer to receive the awards like this. But now is important, but not like in the past. This was a fair awards of appreciating my wines of the small producer. Every year, I try to increase the quality of the wine, but there are so many aspects to follow that is difficult to understand if the change is better or not. But in any case, I try to increase the quality.
Bravo. But I guess what I'm trying to ask is, this was always something you wanted, to this type of wine making. You always wanted to do this, or was something that in the past you just wanted to make good wine, and if you had to use chemicals, you use chemicals. It didn't matter to you. At what point did you decide to do your vinification or your canopy management in a natural way?
It is important that the producer decided alone the way of the philosophy, like make wine, and following this, you decided that you can choose the work in the vineyards and the work in the cellar, but it's important to have an objective. And if you get an awards, is better for the sale.
Yeah, bravo. Okay. And what about, like, let's say you're the type of the way you make your wine is also very, very interesting. And I should have said that earlier. For example, you use the large barrels. How long do you maintain that process? I mean, do you each field is vinified separately? Do you do them together? Tell me a little bit about your vinification. How is the wine made?
Each vineyard is vinificated, separated to another, and normally for the Langhe Nebbiolo, the vinification is about 15 days. So it means then when finish the alcoholic fermentation, I separate the skin to the wine, while in the Barolo, normally I do the vinification when finish the alcoholic fermentation, follow a maceration for 45-50 days to have a wine more complex.
Mm-hmm. So that would be old school style, long macerations. You're using big barrels.
Yeah. For big barrels and tonneau. The tonneau, I think that is a right compromise, because in the wine you don't feel too much wood, but you have the wine very fresh and clean.
Mm. And how long is it in the wood?
In the wood is normally 24 months. For example, for the Barolo Kirlet is 12 months in tonneau, 500-600 liters, and 12 months in big barrel. For the Bussia, I have a small quantity, so is 24 months in tonneau, 500-600 liters.
Bravo. Allora, you make bottles of Dolcetto, Barbera, you do Nebbiolo, Langhe Nebbiolo, and you have two Barolo, one Barolo from San Prieto Cru and one Barolo from the Bussia Cru, correct?
Yeah. Two different Langhe Nebbiolo. One is Utine and Madama, that is aged 1 year in wood and 1 year in concrete, and another is Utinet Professor that is aged only in stainless steel. I put in the bottle 6 months after the vinification, and the vinification is about 25 degrees to maintain the smell more developed.
And these are both from the same vineyard, just two different styles?
Different. For the Utine Professor, normally I choose the vineyard more young, while for Utine and Madama are vineyard that have 20 years. For the Barolo, they're older.
No, I mean, and I will say to the listeners, if anyone out there is able to taste both of these like Nebbiolo side by side, you will see how beautiful, elegant, and what a difference the two do. I mean, it's just amazing how they do. What would you say is your favorite grape to work with right now, and why?
It's an easy question, this, because my favorite grapes is Nebbiolo in all the version, and is a grape very particular, and I think that to work the Nebbiolo, because it's a fantastic grape, very complex, and every year surprise me because change something, and every year is different to the other.
Right. Wow, that's really interesting. What what would you say as far as when you have all these different plots and different bottlings, because it's quite two Nebbiolos and then the Barolos and all that, and you love to work with Nebbiolo in particular. Is there one particular you're in tune with one vineyard than the other? Do you treat them the same? And I guess which is your baby? The little piece from San Prieto or the little piece from Busia? Which is the one that you find yourself sitting there like, oh wow, I made it. This is me. This is what I do.
My baby is Barolo Chirlet Bricco San Pietro, because it's the first Barolo that I made in 2003, and I follow the vineyard with big attention. Yeah.
What was the big difference? I think you saw it in your evolution from the first Barolo to now, to your current release. What do you think has been the biggest difference, or evolution rather?
I tasted recently 2008 and 2012, and are very good now. The biggest difference is that in the beginning I use the barrique instead of the tonneau and the big barrel. And also the vinification in the past was a little bit shorter than now. The biggest difference are these, but if you tasted a wine very old, 20 years old, 15 years old, the difference in the wood, you don't feel so much difference, I think. Yeah.
I guess another question that I am curious about, and most people I think would appreciate, a lot of the Barolo producers that I've spoken to in the past few months tell me that, we're all aware of global climate change. They're saying that in the past, the warm vintages were the good vintages. But now, because of what's happening with global warming, everyone says that the cold vintages in Barolo are making the good vintages. What do you feel about that in global warming? What do you think's happening there? Is that true, that statement?
Yes, happened, and we change some operation in the vineyard. For example, in the past, we remove all the leaves close to the grapes. Now we leave the leaves on the plant, because on summer the sun burn the skin of the grapes. And another operation that sometimes when it is so much warm, I do a powder of marble, the Caolino, that is like a sun cream to protect the skin of the grapes. And I agree with you that the best vintages are more balance where there is the sun but not too much. In fact, I do the Barolo Riserva in 2019, but and in 20, but I think that 21 and 22 are very are the vintage so warm, so I don't know if I do the Barolo Riserva, for example. Is a reflection that I make next year.
Wow. Okay. So you have more projects coming up. Do you think that you're going to expand the current bottlings that you have currently? Or is that enough? Or are you just going to increase the quality? Or do you have more wines or more bottlings that you think you're going to try to make or put together?
No, increase the vineyard, no. I want to increase the sale of the bottle in the right way, but small quantity. Yeah, in the next year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think is very important that I noticed, you have gained the respect of the vignerones or the vintners in an area that's tied to tradition.
So. I hope so.
Yeah. For what I understand, it's something difficult for an outsider to enter as a winemaker in the area, and you've done that. You mentioned, for example, also that you worked. Your one of the vineyards is next to Clerico's Cantina. So my question is, who's your biggest influence? Who do you admire in the region as far as winemaker? Is it true that you worked with Domenico Clerico for a little while?
Is Domenico Clerico has helped me because in 2002 and 2003 he do the vinification. I did not had a cellar, and he made the wine for me in his cellar, and this was so generous. These things permit me to start to make wine, to sell the bottles many years before. And Domenico was a very particular, a special person, very generous and wild, but very generous. And all the Barolo region progressed thanks to Domenico and his action, like other producer, naturally. Yeah, but Domenico was a particular person, really. He find me in a vineyards in 2003 and tell me, these vineyards of Dolcetto, I don't rent anymore. If you want, you can take these vineyards instead of me. And I tell him, but Domenico, I don't have the cellar. What I do of this grape? And he tell me, so I help you. You can do the wine in my cellar. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, bravo. May he rest in peace. Wonderful person. And if you had to be, because everyone has their own style. But if you had to, I don't know, be compared to another winemaker, who would you say is the closest comparison in the Langhe to you?
No. I am an outsider, so I can't reply to this question. You have to imagine that in Monforte, when I arrived, when I arrived 20 years ago in Monforte, one person tell me that in Monforte they divided the people that born in the house and the people that born in the hospital in Alba. So I come from Turin, so I have a very foreigner.
And I think that's also one of the things that attests, that shows your passion, the fact that you have been welcomed and embraced in that particular region. Another, you in the beginning, you mentioned that your trade was lithography. You do printing, and your labels are very, very unique. And I know this is something that you and I have gone. What is, for example, what is the main focus for you when people see your label, when they see your wine? What is that connection? What tell us a little bit about that.
my label are very particular because are made of Stefano Frassetto, that is a cartoonist that work for Libération, Le Temps, and 20 Minutes in Switzerland. And for Europe, there is no problem, while in USA it's very difficult to accept, for example, this label, because when they think in USA, when they think to a Piedmont, they think to a classical label. So sometimes it's very difficult to explain. If the people come in the cellar and I explain that Stefano is a idea from Stefano Frassetto, they understand. But in USA normally it's difficult that they understand that is a particular label. That means that I have a new producer and I start with a different style and this, yeah.
And I always say, and I'm one of those fans that says that the wine represents the winemaker and the philosophy and the style. I mean, the personality comes through in the wine itself. But when you put one and one together, for example, the wine and the label, you get more of that connection with the winemaker. So I get to understand more about you and your personality when I see the labels. They're beautiful. I say my favorite is the one with the little horse. If anybody goes into the websites, the Simone Scaletta .it, Simone Scaletta .it, you see the labels that I'm talking about, and they're wonderful.
Yeah, it's the bozzetto of the sample of the Barolo Bussia label. Yeah, with the horse.
Yeah. Is there are you looking to change those a little bit? Is there going to be modification, like you said, for the American markets, or are you going to keep them the same?
For American market, maybe, while in Europe will be always the same, with some little change, but always the same.
Right. Now, one thing that always fascinates me, Simone, and I think that you are one of those perfect producers, because we always hear about second, third, or fourth generation families taking over the cantina or taking over the vineyard. And those are beautiful stories because there's so much history. You see it with Gaya Gaya, you see it with Giacosas, you see it, the Scavinos, all those generations that are taking over their grandfathers or grandfathers. You are a new story. For me, it's refreshing because as beautiful as those stories are, I'm able to taste the new boy on the block, to taste a little bit of history in the making, so to speak. And I want to know, what has been your biggest challenge in your story so far?
I think that the biggest challenge in my story was to buy the land without knowing the future, what I do in the future, if I can to produce wine in the bottle or not, and so on. And was a real uncertain moment. That I don't know before. And then there is also adapting to a small village and sell the wine in all the world also is a challenge every day for a small producer. Yeah.
Bravo. How did that come about? I mean, I think the most fascinating thing, and I'm sorry to everybody for being redundant or repeat something, but it's just, remember, there is no land and you were able to get it. You mentioned that you bought the vineyards in Bussia and San Pietro. How did you acquire? Was it many negotiations? Was it easy? Did you say, hey, how much and here I am? Or were people reluctant to give you an opportunity? How did that come?
No, in Bussia I rent the vineyard, while in Buico San Pietro I am the owner. And but for example, in the beginning when I arrived here in Buico San Pietro, the neighbors tell me, why you plant a Nebbiolo? Because they thought that the grapes most important was the dolcetto, but was an old style this. And now the same people plant the Nebbiolo. Yeah.
Bravo,
And
bravo.
in the beginning was very difficult to introduce for many different reasons, but with a lot of determination, I get it to this place, and then I put another place after some years, and now is a little producer. Yeah.
See. So you had a good relationship with the people that you purchased it from, correct? I mean, they believed in you.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Also, they some neighbors close to here. They think that in 2 years I go away while I am still here. Other, yeah.
Wow. Well, so much time in the van. I think now, allora, it was a nice van, right? It was an RV, or was it a small van? Because to be there that long, you must have some comforts, no?
No, not so much, because this time the money was for plant the vineyards and do other things. So not so good. And for 14 years I make every day Torino Monforte.
Oh wow!
Now I live here. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
commute. What tell me about the small wineries out there, the wineries that are building an exceptional quality and image. I mean, is in terms of viticulture. What advice do you have for somebody who maybe not in Monforte, maybe not in the Langhe, because like I said, there's no space. But what advice would you give to somebody who has the same dream as you, who's starting? Who's just saying, tomorrow I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go and I'm going to buy vineyards. What advice do you have?
A lot of determination, and I have also I was also lucky to find some place, and I had a lot of determination, and then for 15 years I was always under pressure to make the vineyard, to start to sell the wine, and was without knowing the future. So was very particular this moment, with a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice in the beginning.
Wow. And just go back to a little bit. What is your production right now? Like we said earlier, you have Dolcetto, Barbera, 2 Langhe Nebbiolo, and 2 Barolo. So what is your total production?
And 3 Barolo Kirlet, Bricco San Pietro, Barolo Bussia, and Barolo Riserva that comes from Bricco San Pietro. Yeah, and I produce 35,000 bottles.
Total.
Yeah, in total of 7 different wines. Yeah.
And what is the future? Where would you be comfortable? Where are you happy to say, okay, I only have 4 hectares or 5 hectares here, and then the ranch that I rent, 7 hectares total. What is in your mind the maximum that you say, okay, from here I cannot control quality? So where do you think you top it?
No, until now. Part of my production I sell to other producer. My dream should be to sell everything, all in bottle, and arrive to about 50,000 bottles to have 2 more employees. The objective is this. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. How many people work with you now? You're solo, no?
Now we are in 4. 4. 1 in the cellar, 1 in the field, and 1 that drives the tractor, and me. Yeah.
Right. And as far as the cantina itself, the barrels that you have there, you said you have 400 square meters. Do you have room for expansion if you wanted to?
I have a space, but I don't want to have to build new things. I don't want to because it's very difficult to follow the price when you build a cellar. So it's enough what I built.
Mm. Bravo. And Simone, una demanda molto importante. I think the most important question everybody wants to hear is, what does Simone Scaletta drink at home? When you come home and you're tired and you want to have a good glass of wine, what do you drink at home? Or who do you drink at home?
Normally, I drink Nebbiolo from Piedmont, but also from other region. I like to taste Langhe Nebbiolo, Barolo, Barbaresco, and Gattinara, and see a comparison. Yeah, and to understand better.
What about Shavinasca from Valtellina? You like that Alpine Nebbiolo?
Yeah. Sometimes I try, and are very different to the Nebbiolo of the Langhe, but they are very good. Yeah, some Gattinara also. Yeah.
That's bravo. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And as far as food in the region, I mean, do you think your wine is very food friendly? I personally find your bottlings to be approachable early on. I think you could enjoy them early and then see that evolution in the cellar. But do you think your wines are very food friendly for the food from the regions, or not food friendly?
I hope so. I hope, and most important things is that must be easy to drink. Also, if they are young, and I hope that the people appreciate this. Yeah.
And Simone, what is the future? What is the future with Simone Scaletta Vini? Where do you see what's happening? Are you going to work with white grapes? I mean, what is the future for you?
I thought about white wine, but I don't know. I don't know if I do a. I have a test I make in future. 300 bottles of pure Merlot. Only 100% Merlot, and age in the wood, and start to sell after 4 years from the harvest. Yeah.
Oh wow!
But yeah.
That's very interesting.
Always red. But it's a very particular thing because it's the first grapes that is not autochthone from here. Yeah.
I would love to taste that. Look, I have a million questions I could ask you, and we could go on and on, but I know that we have a time constraint here, so I just wanted to turn it over back to Laika. I know she might have a few other questions that I missed that are very important. Bravo.
It's for you.
My question to you is, do you have a favorite dish that your nonna used to make, and what dish is this, and which wine do you have that you'll pair it with this particular dish that you like?
Two dishes.
Okay.
One is the bagna cauda, that is a dish made only with oil, garlic, and anchovies. And you put in this sauce different vegetables, and the perfect wine is the Barbera, also if it's very young. And another dish is the agnolotti with the meat inside, and I think that with this is a good a Barolo.
Oh yeah, anything with meat. I guess pairs well with a glass of Barolo. Oh well, so thank you so much for your time. And I would like to tell you that this session is recorded and then we will put it up on Italian Wine Podcast. It's on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your pods. It will be up on Thursday next week. So yes, I'll let you know. And so for the next Clubhouse, we've got Sławek Kominski. He will be interviewing Marco Biscardo. He is the owner of Inobis Company and also the owner of Fosso Corno. So that's going to happen on Friday at 4:30 p.m. Italian time zone, since at that moment, Marco's going to visit Sławek in Poland. So that's really amazing how we connect the Italian wine world. So Yes, that's it. And thank you so much, guys. It's been a real pleasure to have you here on Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye bye.
Sniff,
Bye.
sip, and swirl. Once again, here we go. Swirl, sniff, sip.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.